Hello everyone, welcome to this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. It's great to have you here with me today. We're going to start off with the tropics here, the tail end of a frontal boundary over the next several days. Could drift a system into the Gulf with some potential development. We're also going to look further out here into the MDR. We're going to see what happened to Invest 94L, whether it still has a chance. And we have plenty of more waves here coming off the Cape Verde Islands. And we'll also be looking at the Central American Western Caribbean area as well. We also have a new tropical system out here into the Western Pacific we'll take a further closer look at. And in addition to the heat wave in the east, are we going to see that ring of fire pattern really set up as we head late week into the weekend, into early next week? Let's get into it. All right, so looking at our infrared satellite view, this is what's left of our Invest system, Invest 94L. It's still going to pack quite a punch. Lots of showers and thunder showers moving through, especially the central Lesser Antilles over the next day or two. Also watching this explosion of showers and thunderstorms just on the north side of Jamaica. And look at this right around Haiti and the Dominican Republic. And out by the Cape Verde Islands, look at this explosion of tropical waves. Intertropical convergence zone, we're just lining them up one right after another. And we're also watching this feature around Florida. So far, it doesn't look like anything's going to come out of this. It's more resembling an upper level low type thing. But this is going to continue heading west across the Gulf, and we'll watch it for any potential development. All right, so for the tropics here, what do we have going on? Well, many of you are probably wondering, what happened to our Invest system out here, Invest 94L? Well, it's still here. The National Hurricane Center has declassified it as anything, but it's going to pack a punch as it moves through the Lesser Antilles. What is this up here? Well, let's take a look as this continues through the 24th. So as we go into Thursday, yeah, it is like a tropical wave in nature here. And you can see there's this old frontal boundary around the area here. So we're going to continue to watch this for, any flare-ups. I don't think it's going to develop into anything. It's just moving way too fast here through Friday. But look at this. We get some more gusty showers and thunder showers moving through the central and southern Lesser Antilles. This moves into the eastern Caribbean towards Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. Also, another slug of moisture from Honduras down to Nicaragua and Belize as we head through the 28th here. So yeah, it's an active time period setting up here. And look what we have coming off the coast out here. Another very large wave. In fact, if you want to see the waves lining up here for the end of the month, you can see them here in the coastal Africa area. And then here, look at them just lining up here. They're dotting the landscape, so to speak here. Very interesting. That's going to set us up here for that first week of August. You can see this one in particular out here. Now, as we head through the 29th into the 30th, I want to draw your attention up here to Florida because we still have that old frontal boundary. And some of these MCS units up here could actually spark off some East Coast trouble as well, maybe in the form of areas of low pressure. So we'll touch on that later on in my weather segment here. If we take a look at July 30th here, we have two tropical waves hanging out here. Also, one area in the northwestern Caribbean. We'll have to see which one of these wins out. It looks like so far the Gulf one next week starts to win out by the 31st. We also have another very gusty, strong tropical wave disturbance type moving through Trinidad, Tobago, up through Barbados. And then a little bit of a tone down of tropical activity out here. But here it is. You can see what's happening across the northern Gulf, off the southeast coast. We have this old front, and it's going to continue to spin up these low-pressure systems, these clusters of showers and thunderstorms. And I would not be surprised if this becomes something in the Gulf as it heads towards Texas and Louisiana here. You can see it making landfall, so to speak, whatever's left of it by this point. So that's a positive signal we've been watching very closely. Also out here into the Atlantic, you can see the intertropical convergence zone through August 4th, really starting to ramp up and solidify. And look at this feature right around Central America. That does look like it starts to energize the Eastern Pacific here. And then look at the East Coast up here. There is something we may need to watch here right around August 4th and 5th as we go through time. Look at this. Here's the 6th. We're getting close to the end of this loop, and you can see the Gulf does look kind of quiet, so does the Central and Eastern Caribbean, but look what's waiting for us out here by the Cape Verde Islands. this really starts to ramp up here on our last frame. And thanks to Tropical Tidbits here for our European model analysis. Look at this big old mess. Yeah, National Hurricane Center declassifying Invest 94L as pretty much nothing, but you know what? It doesn't look like nothing. Look at this. This is going to be a big slug of moisture, and I can assure you there's going to be some very heavy rainfall amounts we'll go over in just several minutes from now. So stay tuned for that. And look at this across Florida as well. We see this tropical wave. What's going to happen with this? We'll keep an eye on it here. But here across the Eastern Caribbean, as this thing emerges, what's left of Invest 94L, plenty of tropical downpours. What's very strange about this thing in the Gulf is just continuing to pivot pretty far to the west here pretty fast. So it's probably moving too fast to develop, at least this first wave. Now, hinting you got a second wave coming next week. Here is what's left of 94L heading this direction, just south of Jamaica on Friday. So it may bring some heavy downpours around Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, up towards Belize, Honduras here, so watch out, even as far north as Cancun, and this surges to the north and west here. You see, this really does start to get cranking on the European model. This is something we'll have to keep an eye on. Next tropical wave moving through the central and southern Lesser Antilles here. What's left of our tropical wave moving ashore here into Texas and Louisiana. So as you can see, as we continue to go through time here, you can see Central America continuing to get these showers and thunder showers. Look at, though, the Eastern Caribbean here. We're really socked in with these tropical waves lining up. And as we continue through next week, Monday the 28th, I'm going to show you this. Look at this. This is spinning up around Nicaragua. It does head inland, due west. That's probably going to spark some sort of storm here in the Eastern Pacific. But as we continue to go through time, ultimately, what we'll really be watching around the 31st is this, along the tail end of a front. This over here, east of the Lesser Antilles, another big tropical wave moving in. This one's much further to the north. So by the end of the month, getting into August 1st here, we're watching these two areas very closely. Look at this. This could actually become something. This is something I'm a bit more concerned about. Watching this front off the East Coast, too, this can spin up something. Look at the North Central Gulf, right around Louisiana. Again, I hate to say it, but look at this. Through the 3rd, into the 4th. Look at this. Heading right through the Jamaica, Cayman Islands areas. Heavy rain, gusty winds. And that moves into the Northwest Caribbean the 4th. So I really think, and look at this, we have another one. This could be something as well out here, maybe a fish storm, but there's another big tropical wave. So we're just going to continue to watch these line up, especially into that first week of August. Here's that wave. Here's another one. Look at, there's that one off the coast of Florida showing up just like it was on the GFS. And I just wanted to show you the intertropical convergence zone out here. Look at this. This is extremely active. So as we go through the weekend into next week, you can see some of these very strong tropical waves spinning up here. This one in particular, from like the 30th, 31st, 30 into the 1st of August. This is the one that approaches the central and northern Lesser Antilles. I would not be surprised if this tries to spin up into something because conditions look fairly favorable in this region. Of course, we got our subtropical high way up here by the Azores, which is kind of strange, but we'll keep an eye on it here. Look at the intertropical convergence zone. It's really going to ramp up here the first week of August. All right, so for the North Atlantic, yeah, we're still sitting here with well above average. Look at the Central and Eastern Gulf as well. Northwestern Caribbean, Eastern Caribbean around the Lesser Antilles. And you have to admit, things are warming up out here into the MDR where the Cape Verde season is really going to light up big time. All right, so here's our rainfall amounts here on our GFS run. Look at this. So as we go through this week, you can see the rainfall cropping up. Even Jamaica here getting in on the axe. Some areas close to 60, 80 millimeters. Northeastern parts of Honduras here. Yeah, upwards of 125, 150. Belize as well. Look at as we go into the first week of August, though. You got to get in on some of these amounts. Look at this. 300 millimeters. Even the northern coast of Honduras, 200. Belize, 200 to 300 millimeters plus here. Jamaica, yeah, you're going to really eke out some much heavier downpours. I think you're going to see a tropical wave and disturbance train set up here. Some areas getting upwards of 80 to 125 millimeters. And look at the Dominican Republic here. similar situation for you. Many areas getting less than 25 millimeters, but some areas 80 to 100 and close to 200 millimeters here into the west central part. And look at here into Puerto Rico, especially the eastern tip, close to 3 to 4 inches of rainfall. And if we look at our European run here this week, here it is, surging in Central America. The Euro is a bit drier for Jamaica, although still eking out 20, 30, maybe 40, 50 millimeters in some of these areas. Dominican Republic, similar. Cayman Islands, there's kind of a rain hole here lately, as there is in Cancun. But as we go through, let's just go through the rest of the month into the first part of August. Look at this. You can start to see the tropical wave action propagate right through this region and also another area. Obviously, Belize, look at this, close to 250 millimeters, Honduras, 210. Look at Jamaica. Yeah, even the eastern tip, close to 120 near Portland Parish. So, yeah, you're looking a lot wetter here in Jamaica, even the Cayman Islands, Dominican Republic, 60 to 80, close to 100 millimeters. And much of Puerto Rico, about a half to 3/4 of an inch, but the eastern tip on this model as well, getting in excess of 3 to 4 inches. And here we go with the Eastern Caribbean. That tropical wave, what's left of Invest 94L, look at that. Yeah, we're going to get wave after wave after wave from Trinidad, Tobago, all the way up the island chain here. It is going to be one of those next couple weeks where you're going to see a lot of tropical downpours. You can see many areas eclipsing 125, 130 millimeters here with widespread 60 to 100 millimeter amounts. And here on our GFS run here into the Eastern Caribbean, yeah, there's still a lot of moisture with what's left of Invest 94L. So watch out. It's going to still pack a punch, I believe. Look at this. Many areas around the Lesser Antilles. Look at the Southern Antilles here, getting all the way up to 125, 150 millimeters. And that's going to continue to surge through August 6th here. Look at this. Some areas close to 200, 250 millimeters all the way up the island chain. Look at the Virgin Islands up here, though. Barely 9, 10, 11 millimeters. To speak of. All right, Pacific side here. Just wanted to show you the Eastern Pacific because it's been quiet the last couple weeks, eerily quiet. But I think as we head towards the end of the month, there's going to be that energy that comes over, crosses over from Caribbean. That's probably going to spark a fish storm out here. You can see that moving out. And then another one gets going just off the coast. This one may actually affect the Mexican coastline here into the first and second week of August. All right, so the Western Pacific here, we have Tropical Depression number 10, likely to become our next tropical storm. It's going to be a big old area of broad low pressure here. It's going to stay well south of most of the Japanese islands. It is going to be impacting the southern Japanese islands here, however. So watch out. Northern part of Taiwan. Look at the Korean Peninsula, clear as a bell in Seoul, all the way to Tokyo. Yeah, it's looking really nice up here. Southern parts of Japan actually start to get hit with this moisture that's left over from our tropical storm, as this tropical storm makes landfall well south of Shanghai. But you can see, look at the pattern setting up here. Very dry in most of Japan through South Korea and central and eastern China here. Northern parts of the Philippines just getting pummeled here with tremendous monsoon. But look at this. If you live in central and southern Philippines, you're actually making out pretty good here. Not a whole lot of raindrops falling. This broad area of low pressure by the end of the month spins off well east of Japan. This is kind of setting Japan up for a very dry time period here. It's not until about the 3rd into the 4th we could start seeing more showers creep in here. And then look at the intertropical convergence zone east of the Philippines. We're likely to have something try to spin out of this as we go through August 6th here. All right, so going into the overnight into Wednesday morning. Yeah, it's basically around Florida here. Maybe some showers sparking here across much of the Gulf Coast area. As we head to the 23rd, we're eking out one more good day here across the mid-Atlantic, northeast Ohio Valley. But look it up here. This is where some mesoscale convective complexes are really going to get cranking here across Iowa and the upper Midwest. That weekend's through 12 p.m. on Thursday, the 24th. Look at this feature here into the Gulf, though. Let me just You can see there's a spin right in this area. It's more like an upper level low though. And if this were going to move slower, this initial one this week, not the one next week, but the one this week, looks like it's going to be moving way too fast for any tropical development. Severe weather outlook for your Wednesday, the midpoint of the week. It's going to be the upper Midwest here in central northern plains. Also some generalized thunderstorms here in the southeast. And as we progress through the week here into your Thursday, that slight risk, actually it's a more like a marginal risk heading into the Midwest and western and central Great Lakes. All right, so here we are picking up where our feature radar left off on our GFS model, and then I'll show you the European one in a couple minutes. So here we go. I showed you that Gulf feature. So what we're going to turn our attention to is up here on Thursday, these mesoscale convective systems as they move across the area, especially watch out Friday here. There's going to be a couple of complexes through Friday night and Saturday that move here through the Ohio Valley. And things are going to get kind of rough. Look at up here into southern Ontario. You have this one dropping down, and then another area here for the 26th into the 27th moves into the northeast. So all in all, we're looking pretty stormy. Look at this one. This one makes it down to the Outer Banks of North Carolina, and we reload up here with another bigger one. This is actually right around the 28th. This one drops down across Michigan and kind of fizzles out before it reaches Ohio. This one clips northern New York and northern New England. Another little area moving across here into Ohio right by the 29th. So some of these areas could really get hit with some strong thunderstorms here in South Jersey around the 30th. So things stay pretty stormy. This starts to ignite an area of storminess around this old frontal boundary here across the southeast, the 30th into the 31st. And there's where I showed you it kind of spins up this tropical wave into maybe a disturbance or a tropical storm by this point. But there it is. Southeast looking pretty active here with tropical moisture just hanging out. Look at the Outer Banks by August 1st. This is a little bit troubling, but then high pressure does start to push this further to the south. So that's some great news. Look at this big 1028 millibar high. That's going to start acting in its own until about, you can see August 3rd here, you start to see these mesoscale convective systems really start to drop southeast here from the Midwest into the mid-Atlantic here and off the coast to try to spin up these areas of low pressure, these coastal lows out over the Atlantic. All right, so picking up where our feature radar left off as we continue on into Thursday, we're going to watch our, whatever this is here into the Gulf. You know, it's a conglomeration of showers and thunderstorms. We'll watch it here, see if it spins up anything tropical or subtropical. It's going to flare up, especially during the afternoon and evening of each day. But look at Friday. We start to see these mesoscale convective systems really starting to make their way felt here across these areas. And we're just going to continue to watch this as we go through time. You can see these systems. We just backed this up. So there it is. Look at Friday evening here. This is a big old mess, and there could be some strong thunderstorms in here, also flash flooding. Now look at Saturday. We get these mesoscale convective complexes up here into parts of the Midwest and Northeast, also watching the Gulf here for our flare-ups. Now look at Saturday afternoon and early evening. We have several rounds of thunderstorms here, so watch out. This could get really rough. It's going to be a rough weekend, and look at this into Sunday as well. Saturday night and Sunday, a big complex of extreme showers and thunderstorms here. This gets cranking across New York and Pennsylvania. Maybe a mesoscale convective system. That's what it's looking like here on the European run, so watch out. It actually does try to form a coastal low here off this mesoscale convective system. That's pretty remarkable. Now look at this. This is going to be another area of low pressure kicking down the pike here. I just wanted to back it up. What happens to our tropical? There it is. East Texas for Saturday into Sunday. That moves and feeds the northeast system. So there you have it. High pressure building in across the southeast. Tuesday, we do have this disturbance dropping down here. So we may kick off a mesoscale convective complex here. So watch out, that tries to form another coastal low. Here is our next potential contestant here for, will this become a tropical storm in the Gulf? Well, we'll watch it here. This is the tail end of an old front stalled out. Look at this, Friday, August 1st, another mesoscale convective system moving off the East Coast here And then for North Carolina next weekend, right around August 2nd, tries to form another coastal low. But look at this. Yeah, there's these lows forming along this old frontal boundary, and some of these could have the potential to maybe go tropical on us. Look at this for the 3rd, August 3rd. We have this in the Western Gulf and this off the southeast coast, blocking high pressure further to the north here. So there you have it. You get the idea. These stalled frontal boundaries, I really think one of these is going to spin up over the next couple weeks into a tropical storm. We'll see which one it is. This one looks pretty promising by August 6th here off the coast of Florida. And here we go, liquid equivalent precipitation. Yeah, you hope it's liquid this time of year. Look at this. As we get through the weekend, yeah, Gulf Coast, that tropical wave, whatnot with that stalled frontal boundary. Also the Midwest into the Northeast with our weekend mess, Friday into the weekend. It's basically we go all the way through August 6th here. Look at this. Midwest, some of these areas getting 8 to 9 inches of rain, all the way back through northern Ohio into New York, Pennsylvania, northern Indiana, southern Michigan. There's a wide swath here, 2.5 to 3.5, almost 4+ inches of rain. And we go along the Gulf Coast here. Look at this, 6 to 8 inches. Southeast Louisiana getting hit again, the worst. And as we go with the GFS here, let's make sure we have the latest run. So here we go. GFS a little bit lesser along the Gulf Coast in the Northeast here, but you get the idea. The tropical wave action looks to really solidify on the GFS right off the coast of North Carolina, down through the Carolinas, through Georgia, Florida here, all the way back through Texas. So yeah, Texas picking up 2, 3, maybe 4 inches out of this as well. Now look at here into the Midwest, into the Northeast. That's another storm track as well. And don't forget, before we continue with more weather coverage, if you made it this far in the video and you like it, I want to thank you for making it this far. Smash that like button, everyone. It really does help. Question or comment down below. I love to read your questions or comments. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribe, bell notification button down below so you're alerted with all my future weather video updates. If you really haven't watched my Hurricane 2025 forecast for the number of storms, it's a link at the end of this video and the description down below. Let's continue. All right, so our upper air weather pattern, yeah, there's that death ridge, that massive heat dome. Does it break down? Well, it starts to lose a little bit of its grip, but I caution you because look at Monday into Tuesday. It does start to shift further west, though. So the Midwest and the Northern Plains. Look at the Northeast, though. In the East Coast, it does start to get relief. Look at what starts to set up, though, this trough. That's what's going to bring us that cooler air, that much advertised cooler air later next week. Look at this. This could bring some, even some 60s to northern New England, 70s along the U.S. East Coast, and low 80s. So this could actually be pretty welcome if it doesn't bring a whole bunch of stormy weather with it. And there, as we go through August 6th, you can see we're going to see a bunch of these just pinwheel around in this direction. And the NAO index will be going positive here, so maybe we can get some quieter weather late July into the first part of August. And the MJO index, this is kind of puzzling. So we're going from 6 into 7 and 8, which is active. This completely conflicts with the NAO index because this is hinting at a much more robust active weather pattern, although a lot of it does look like it's occurring after the first week of August. As we look at your Canadian weather outlook, look at Ontario, pretty stormy. I'd say Ontario is probably going to be the stormiest province up here the next couple weeks due to these mesoscale convective systems, severe weather. Look at southern and central and eastern Ontario through Wednesday into Thursday here. That does start to clear out, except southern Ontario, where the big population centers are. I think you could see some very strong thunderstorms. Watch out, damaging wind, large hail, tornado threat running pretty elevated here. That moves south and east towards New Brunswick as it weakens and moves into more of a heavy rain threat. Now look at this up towards Manitoba. This comes barreling out of Alberta and Saskatchewan, sparks some showers and thunderstorms. There it is. Mesoscale convective systems really get cranking up here across Ontario and southern Manitoba as well through the 27th into the 28th. Look at this. This could be quite a power outage type complex here as it moves across southern and eastern Ontario here through the 28th. Now, look what's going to start to happen. I caution you because this big old area of high pressure is probably going to start to cause a flip in our weather pattern up here in Canada. And unfortunately, that would probably mean a return to many more wildfires. I hate to say this at this point, but look how dry it is as we head into August here. That high pressure just camping out. Most of the rain is either off the coast of British Columbia or across Ontario and Quebec where we've been getting it. Now, we do start to get a little bit here. This starts to move into western Alberta, but it's very few and far between until about the 31st into the 1st, where we do have that wave of low pressure move through, but it's pretty quick. So I don't see any large-scale areas of soaking rain like you need. Southern Saskatchewan here in Manitoba through the 4th, this could be quite a severe weather outbreak here, by the way. A Pacific system does start to make it inland, but by this point, I think a lot of Canadian wildfires will be reignited out here, unfortunately. Until right around the 5th, we do start to get the cooler, wetter pattern setting up here. Look at eastern Ontario and Quebec. Yeah, we're socked in. British Columbia on this last frame, a big Pacific low, 996 millibar. And there's southeast Canada dealing with a coastal low just off the coast of Nova Scotia. All right, so Canadian rainfall. Let's see how much we can pile up here for you. Well, it's looking a little drier this time, although this is great news for the wildfire situation, especially up here into Alberta, these areas. So you're picking up, close to 40, 60, maybe 80 millimeters. Southeast Canada as well, a lot of 60 to 80 millimeters. Less 100 though, look at that. There's less yellows, so things are slowly drying in Canada. Temperatures are going to be interesting as we head throughout the week. Unfortunately, just miserable. Heat dome building in with upper 90s and 100s. Look at this for your Wednesday. So yeah, that nice warm air across the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and Northeast. It's going to be a thing of the past with those mid to high 90s moving in, as you can see Friday, July 25th here. Look at this. This is many areas in the mid to high 90s here. It is just going to be miserable. And then as we head into the weekend, we see maybe a little bit of a pullback into the upper 80s here. But look at this, the warm air. Look at the interior parts of North Carolina here, 98 degrees, many upper 90s to near 100s into the plains as well. This just looks like it continues to bake into Sunday. And look at this. Actually, we don't have any data for Monday. Extended forecast from hometown viewers, bringing to us Grand Super, Susquehanna, River Valley, New York, and Pennsylvania. Look at this. Yeah, the heat is on. Later Wednesday, Thursday in particular, we go as high as the mid-90s. Heat index values over 100. Look at this. Friday. Isolated showers and thunderstorms becoming likely, damaging wind, large hail, especially from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. here. Friday night as well. Watch out. Saturday, we do it all over again. More 90s and showers and thunderstorm potential into Sunday. A greater risk of strong showers and thunderstorms, so watch out. And we continue that heat into early next week. Plenty more weather to come. Here is a look at my affiliate. Check out these awesome, amazing maps. I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code. As always, thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Also, don't forget to join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Twitter at Weather Eastern. Don't forget it's MeteoMark.com, and don't forget, if you want to send me a coffee, there is a link, Super Thanks. You can smash that Super Thanks button or my PayPal link in the description down below. You can buy me a cup of coffee. Thanks everyone. Share that video, subscribe if you haven't, smash that like button.